All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. I know that it is just about time for the Ohio State Missouri game. So I know a lot of you may be getting ready to tune in for the Ohio State Missouri game, but I figured this is one of our last chances that we could get to go on live for 2023. Obviously, the weekend is coming up. New Year's Day is Monday. So I figured we wouldn't get many other chances to go on live to end 2023. So I figured we'd jump on here. Won't be, um, I won't make it too long. Won't keep everybody here forever. But, with the Missouri Ohio State game on, I know there's a lot of people that are going to watch that, but figured we'd jump on one more time, talk a little ball, talk a little, bowl game, defense, what's going on out there, offense, what everybody's doing. Kind of interesting to me from the games that I've watched so far, from what I have seen so far. To me, a lot of the opt outs and the coaching changes and a lot of the other things that have gone on, the pedigrees have still won out. Um, to me, the better rosters have won a lot of those games. I know you can go game by game through each bowl game and talk about which roster you think was better, that won the bowl game. But for the most part, when they looked at a lot of the opt outs and who was going where and who wasn't going to play, a lot of those things didn't really come to fruition. I think we've had some good games. I know for me, the way I look at it all the time, I don't really watch a ton of them live. If I'm looking at it or if I'm in the area, I will, but I will go back and try and find some of those games on YouTube. NC State, Kansas State is going to be one that I certainly go back and look at a bunch. If you're an odd three high team or an odd front team, 3-3 stack ish, that's going to be one you want to look at. Iowa State didn't fare too well against Memphis today, so that's a little bit of a, uh, you know, little bit disappointing. Obviously bowl games can be different in every way you want to look at them, but for Iowa State on defense to match up, which what I thought was an offense they should match up with in Memphis and not do so well, was a little bit disappointing. But there's been a lot of good games. I think you look at the Clemson Kentucky game today and how crazy that game got with kick returns and turnovers and points occurring in a really quick manner. It kind of, when I watch bowl games, one of the things I look at is where we're at as high school coaches and the things that we're trying to implement with our schools and our teams and our systems, and the things that we think might be status quo or average or normal. And then you watch college games and you see them struggle with a lot of the same things, right? With college players, scholarship players. So it just lets you know that coaching is coaching no matter what level you're at. You have to coach every aspect of the game. You got to coach game management. You've got to coach situations. You got to coach special teams because they show up everywhere, and they show up all the time. And when you watch some of these college games, that's one of the things that you find out is, regardless of the situation with opt outs and injuries and NFL draft guys, game management is still going to be game management, and situations in games are still going to be situations in games that you always have to work on. You always have to coach. And when you watch some of these college teams struggle with some of those situations, and you understand how important it is to address and coach them in high school, because if these guys are struggling with college players, then, what is the struggle like for us in high school? So, game management, game situations, scenarios, special team situations, time on the clock, all those things, they come into play at every level. You see them every week at every level. So it just makes it a little bit interesting as a high school coach to go back and look and go, well, how much time do we really spend on these certain scenarios? And it's popping up in college games and they're struggling with them. Well, if they're struggling with them with college kids, or, even if NFL teams struggle with them at times, and that means in high school, we probably need to spend a little bit more time on those scenarios because we have kids that should be less knowledgeable than NFL guys at times, should be less knowledgeable than college guys at times, based on the level of play. Whether or not that's exactly true, whether or not those guys in college or the NFL know more about the game and situations than high school kids do. I don't know if that's the case or not. You would think that's the case, but when I look at bowl games and this time of year, those are the things that I'm looking at. I'm looking at how games play out, certain situations in games, situational calls that coaches could have made, time management, clock management, down and distance management, playing with a lead, playing coming back from behind, all those things that you can take lessons from outside of just X's and O's and schemes and who's running what plays. I think you can take lessons from the bowl games, to look at your coaching demeanor and say, all right, look, here's where we need to make some changes, situations we can practice more, situations we can address more because they show up all the time. Right. So, all the bigger games obviously are coming up. The marquee games, so to speak, are starting to come up now. But there's been a lot of good games and on the early bowls. Some surprising, some maybe not so surprising. But what you start to find out is when you look at that schematically, um, you know, offenses that are the good offenses that score points, that do the things that they need to do, are all kind of similar in nature. I think we talked about this briefly last week, but I know that there's Division two national champion that ran into Flexbone, and everybody's going to be all up in arms about Flexbone stuff. But when you watch the Division one bowl games and you watch the teams that are really good on offense, all the same things seem to show up. Right? They seem to be some version of tempo, some version of RPO, some version of option, zone read, quarterback run, whatever it may be. All the things that give defenses issues, right? Because when you're coaching defense, you know the things that are going to give you issues. Having to play disciplined, accountable football is going to be an issue. Having guys that are responsible for dive phase, keep phase, pitch phase is going to be an issue. Double option football in the RPO game is going to be an issue. The coverages that you choose to play to defend runs, but yet still think you can defend passes is going to be an issue. The tempo that the offense operates on is going to be an issue. Those things are never going away, especially in today's game until the rules change. Those things are not going anywhere. Teams are still going to play as fast as they can. They're still going to use double and triple option theories. They're still going to use theories to where whether it's the run game or the pass game, they're going to be reading defenders and making it tough for defenders, putting defenders in conflict, right? That's the way the game is played. And to me, when I watch a lot of the bowl games, I see a lot of the same theories. There may be a different spin on those theories. They may not be an exact structure, an exact system, but you start to see the same spin on all those theories because, when you really look at it, things that stress defenses are things that stress defenses. There's not a lot of ways around that. There's different ways you can present that as an offense based on your personnel or based on who your coordinator is. But at the end of the day, there's still going to be things that stress defenses, and those things are always going to stay consistent. And to me, the better offenses that you watch in college football and even in the NFL at times, the better offenses that you watch seem to hit all those check marks, right? They seem to check all the boxes that say, look, they can play fast when they need to play fast. They can use shifts and motions and trades, and they can get you formationally into issues. They can RPO or zone read you, or triple option you at times when they need to within their offense. So, all the things that they're doing that cause issues for the defense seem to show up. At least, the games, the things that I watch, they seem to show up all the time because issues on defense are issues on defense. So as an offense, why not choose to do things that promote several issues for the defense? Now, if you're, a team that's got better personnel and you've got tight ends and fullbacks and linemen, and you can wear somebody out by running the ball at will on them when you want to, well, then so be it. That's the team that you need to be. But I think those teams are kind of going by the wayside, even with the blue bloods and the best of the best in college football, I think that game style, that game plan is kind of going by the wayside. You're going to need ways that you can spread the field out. You're going to need ways that you can push the tempo. You're going to need ways that you can, score quickly when you need to score because that's the way today's game is played. So, even as we get into, Missouri, Ohio State tonight, should be interesting. A lot of guys opted out from Ohio State. Missouri's got almost their full roster. Ohio State plays great defense. They play great defense all year. Missouri presents some problems on offense. How is that matchup going to work out? Ohio State comes in with their backup or next quarterback, so to speak, however you want to look at it. How are they going to fare? So, college bowl games are a little bit different from the standpoint of the rosters seem to be in flux from what we would put on paper to say that this team is playing this team, this roster versus this roster. How would it fare? But from a coaching standpoint, when you go back and you watch a lot of these college bowl games, you see a lot of situational things that come up. You see a lot of scenarios that you need to be coaching in high school outside of just the straight X's and O's and the portal and the transfers and NFL opt-outs. We can look at all those things and you can analyze all those things and say, all right, well, these guys played with their roster was 50% of what it should be because of portal opt-outs, everything else. But the game at some point still has to be played, and there's still going to be decisions that have to be made during the game. So as a coach, to me, regardless of the rosters, regardless of what teams have guys that have opted out and coaches that have left, and they got new coaches or new coordinators, and they got a new quarterback, and they have all those moving pieces that are going on, which makes it to me a little bit more conducive to what we do in high school, right? We've got moving pieces all the time. We've got certain amount of players that we have to play with, and we've got injuries and school suspensions and other things that we got to work around. And we don't have free agents. We don't have JUCO kids. We don't have, our roster is what it is. So, now you're starting to see some of these guys face some of the issues that we face in high school football. And, it's interesting to watch how they navigate it. It's interesting to watch how they play with new players, how they play with new quarterbacks, how they manage the game with those quarterbacks. So there's always something as a coach, as you enter bowl season, there's always something that you can learn from every game, whether it's a matchup that you thought you would look at. To me, when I look at matchups, it's like, okay, NC State, Kansas State's going to be high on my radar. That's how we play defense. That's who we are on defense. If you find another program that you think is similar to what you would want to do, if there's a flavor of the month on offense, or if everybody's going to go back and watch what Harding did now, on offense because Flexbone winning a Division II national championship, whatever it is that you choose to watch, I think no matter what games you watch this time of year, there's always going to be things to pull from as a coach. There's always going to be things that you can learn as a coach. It's situations, it's game management, it's clock management, it's, so many different things that occur that you can learn from. So during this time of year, this should be, for everybody involved, this should be the biggest learning curve, the biggest learning phase, the biggest study, because now we're in the phase of our high school seasons where, most of us are not going to take the field again for a couple months. We're not going to, a lot of guys don't even have spring football. So, the next 5-6 months should be sinking your teeth into and diving into studying and learning. And whether that's systems and X's and O's, yeah, that could be one thing. Systems that guys are running that are different, that work for them in college and you think can work for you in high school, that can certainly be a thing. But the other thing you need to kind of, sink your teeth into and dive into is watching games and watching scenarios, watching how coaches manage games, watching field position and down and distance, and when teams go for it on fourth down, and looking at the success rate of fourth down conversions in bowl games, and looking at when teams decide to go for it as opposed to kick a field goal, when teams punt as opposed to going for it, the analytics side of it in these bowl games, and kind of studying that, more so than just saying, all right, I want to watch this scheme. I want to watch this structure. I want to watch this offense, or I want to watch this defense. Yeah, those things are always great as coaches, and I'm going to do the same thing as everybody else. once these bowl games kind of navigate themselves out, I'm going to go back and find them on YouTube. I'm going to go back and find them on any platform where I can pause it, look at formations, look at, defensive alignments, fronts, and coverages. And yeah, I'm going to do all that. But at the same time, when you watch the game happen live, I think, you need to, as a coach, you can learn from the process that goes into game management and clock management and play calls and all the different things that you can look at, outside of just the schematics. So, um, that's kind of what I do during bowl season. Those are kind of the things that I look at, during a bowl season when there's different games going on and different schemes going on. Every game has something you can learn from. Every game has something that you can look into and go, hey, look at that scenario. It might have been the most obscure game of the entire bowl season, but there might have been a situation you can look at as a coach or a coordinator and go, hey, they should have handled that differently. They blew, the time management, the clock management, the whole setting of that situation. So, there's always things that we can go back and learn from, always things that we can go back and take information from. That to me is where we're at, in the game of football and as coaches, that those are all the things we can always find what we want to study. We can always find what we want to look at. We can always find and say, all right, I think my high school team has this personnel. We need to be this type of offense. Let's study these teams. The X's and O's and the schematics can only take you so far. Behind closed doors, there's going to be other things, that lead to the success or the demise of certain systems. So when you get a chance to watch guys coach, and I don't care, even if it's interim coaches, it doesn't matter if it's a school that lost a head coach or lost a quarterback or lost somebody else. They still have to navigate a game. They still have to play a game, and you get a chance to watch them try to navigate that game and try to go through that game. So, as we approach what some would think are the main bowl games, the biggest bowl games, obviously Missouri, Ohio State's going on right now. Probably a bunch of people watching that game right now. Ole Miss, Penn State should be a good one tomorrow. The playoff games should all be, fairly good games in my opinion. So, we're at that time of year now where we're watching games more as, at least for me, you're watching games more as a student than you are as a fan. You're watching games to learn. You're watching games to get better as a coach. You're watching games to figure out what things you can do within your system. Because once we get to the clinic season, the clinic season is where it breaks down more to X's and O's, and this is what we run, and this is what we do. And guys will give you some tidbits of what they do and how they do it, and maybe the communication of it and the process of it. And then they'll show you some game film. But, the true studying, the true learning comes from watching scenarios happen live, watching guys coach games live. To me, I think that's part of the biggest, misnomer as a coaching society. We always want to go to clinics. We always want to go visit staffs, and we visit staffs in a spring setting, in an off-season setting. To me, to watch people coach a game live, to watch how they handle situations live, to watch the decisions they make on fourth down live, to watch the decisions they make based on field position live. Those are the things that we can really, to me, we can draw some information from, and we can learn more about the coaching process, right? Because it really is that coaching itself is really more of a process that is an everyday, every year ongoing battle struggle than it is just a schematic, just we're a flex bone team, we're a 3-3 team, we're a 3-high team, we're a split field team, we're a middle of the field close team, we're a pro eye team, run and shoot team, whatever it may be. The schematics are great, but the deeper behind the scenes issues are how you coach games, how you coach scenarios, how you coach different settings. Yeah, I mean, I get that part, Coach Gardner, but I would think I would be in a hotbed for clinics with Florida, Florida State, and a bunch of other places, but I don't know how many of those clinics are really great. Utah probably doesn't have a ton of Glacier stops, a ton of Nike stops. So, that part of it kind of sucks. But at the same time, I think you can gain almost as much from studying the game the way we like to study it as much as you can. I still want to listen to people. I still want the human element. I still want to hear staffs talk about how they do things, but I just don't. I don't know if clinics are the be all end all. Yeah, so it's what a small world we got. It's Utah clinic talk, and Philly brings up a clinic, and Coach Gardner spoke at it. Coach Gardner, the lighter side of me would say maybe that's why the clinics in Utah suck because you're speaking at them, but that would just be a joke. Um, that would be a pun, just me having fun. But you know, I don't even know how many Glazier clinics I'm going to go to this year. I'm going to Nashville next week for the AFCA. Um, I'll go there and I'll talk to some people. I'll see some people, but there's not a lot of ball there. It's not a ball clinic. But the Glazier, to me, the ones that I've looked at in our area, I mean, even for me, where I am, we've got Orlando. We've got there's always going to be a Nike and a Glazier in Orlando. Glazier sometimes will branch out and go to Miami, or I've been to Charlotte, I've been to Atlanta. I've been to a lot of the southeastern places that those clinics are, and I mean the location. I get it. Utah's not a hotbed for a lot of clinics, but the clinics themselves are. Yeah, that would be a good choice, Coach Gardner. Go to Orlando. Let your wife do Disney and everything else she needs to do. Orlando's expensive too. Don't get me wrong. We're a Disney family and we spend a million on Disney stuff, but LA's totally off the charts economically. But, um, to me, it would almost be like if you knew the people that were going to be at the clinics and you knew some people that you wanted to sit down and talk with, and you said, "Hey, what clinics are you going to?" "Hey, we're going to be in Orlando." To me, it'd be more about meeting up and speaking with people than it would be the actual schedule or the actual speakers and topics themselves, because I really haven't found a great one yet this year. I haven't found one that I say, hey, look, I absolutely need to go to this one in Charlotte or this one in Atlanta or this one in Orlando. Um, you know, I haven't found one yet, unfortunately. So, probably knowing your social media game and who your network is and where you have friends in the country, and then maybe choosing clinics off that to kind of say, hey, I want to go here because I can go talk to this guy and this guy. Not so much I want to go here because of the speakers. Um, maybe the town, maybe the atmosphere. If you've never been, like, I always want to go to places that I've never been around before. I've never been to Nashville, so the AFCA is going to be really cool to go to Nashville for the first time. Is it going to be, uh, is it going to be cool from a football standpoint? No. Um, is it going to be cool from a PlayFest standpoint? Maybe. Get to see some people that I do business with, and maybe meet some people that I would like to do business with, and continue to grow the business from that standpoint. But you know, to say that I'm looking forward to going to Nashville because it's going to be pen and paper, ball central. No, that's not really why I'm looking forward to it. I mean, getting away, days off of school, great. Being in a city like Nashville, great. Never been there, but uh, when you think about it as far as a learning experience, I don't know if it's going to be a great ball time. I don't know if there's going to be a ton of X's and O's. You won't know until you get there, but the schedule itself and AFCAs in general are never really quote unquote football clinics. But um, it's just, to me, I still think there's the clinic scene can be done differently. I still think, I don't know if I'm the person to do it with PlayFast. I know there's some other people breaking out and doing clinics now, but I think if you got enough good coaches together that were quality minds that put their heads together to say, hey, what should a clinic be? I still think you can do the clinic experience different. I still think you can do it better. But whether that's feasible, trying to fight a battle with Glazier or Nike, I don't know if that's really feasible economically. I think you can provide a better experience for people that they would certainly enjoy more. Whether or not you could do that year in and year out and take on quote unquote, big timers in, the clinic scene. I don't know if that's economically possible, but something I've always looked at, something I've always looked into as somebody who's an attendee of those clinics and of those things. Like I feel like I've got a decent opinion of what I would like to do if I have the platform to do it. That would be awesome because I feel like as an attendee and a coach, I know what a clinic experience should be, or at least what I want a clinic experience to be. Obviously, that changes. Clinic experiences when I was 22, 23, and then when I'm 51, those things all change dramatically with what you think the experience is. But, it's that time of year. It's exciting. I love this time of year all the time. I whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, I love going to them. I love meeting up with people. I love talking football with people that want to talk. So it's always going to be an exciting part of the year. Sorry for that, cat duty. My standard cat that comes in here all the time and then wants to leave 5 minutes later. But you know, it's we're also in. You get in kind of a rut during this time of year where there's really nothing else going on, right? So if you're a football junkie, you're talking to people on social media, you're following chats. I'm running a chat on Sunday nights now. It just so happens that Sunday night happened to be Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So last Sunday, this Sunday coming up, not great for a chat setting. So I decided to take 2 weeks off until after that. But, it's talking to guys, following guys that you might have never known before, asking questions. That's the time of year it is right now. You're in the weight room, maybe you're in the off season, kind of, you're not probably implementing anything yet at least most places that I know of. So, this time of year becomes the experimental theory, philosophy. There's no other way to get that other than get on social media, go to clinics, you know, do the different things that you need to do during this time of year. Whether they turn out like I've never gone to a clinic and said it was a bad experience. It was maybe a bad football experience, but being out of town with other guys on staff, getting 2 days off of school to relax and unwind a little bit, so that when you go back, maybe you're recharged or your batteries are a little bit fresher. It's never a bad deal. I'm never going to say that clinics are a bad deal. They've been bad football deals. I've gone to a ton of clinics in my 25-year experience where I came back and said, look, that was fucking awful. No topics that were that good. The speakers weren't great. That's going to happen, but no clinic experience was ever bad. So, it's that time of year. It's where we're at. And there's not much else you can do. So, but we're going on about a half hour, guys. There's not a lot of guys on here live tonight. The typical guys that are always here. God bless you. Love you guys to death. I love everything you do for me. Most people are probably watching college football. So I think I'm going to give in to the schedule. I just wanted the chance for those of you that are here. I wanted the chance to say Happy New Year. Last one of these we're going to do before the new year. Unfortunately, wasn't as great as I wanted it to be, but I kind of figured that. I went Missouri plus 5.5 every day of the week. Coach Gardner, that's me. If you're a betting man, even though the game probably already started, go Ohio State because I'm a mush. My picks always suck. Any bets I make, I end up losing. So I leaned on Missouri plus 5.5. So, again, didn't think tonight would be all that great. I knew that people would be watching games. I knew, New Year's Eve weekend, New Year's weekend, but I didn't want to miss a chance to say Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for everything you do for PlayFast. Thank you for everything you do for me. Last chance I get in 2023. Didn't get to 4 million. We were making the push to get to 4 million. We were about 35,000 views short of 4 million on YouTube. But everybody that's watched the video, Um, Good for you, Coach Gardner. That is awesome to have a kid on each side in a game like that. Amazing experience. Um, didn't get to where we wanted to, didn't get to 4 million, but we're only 35,000 short. So we're going to get to 4 million eventually. Wanted to get there before 2024, but, thanks to guys like you, it's going to get there. We are going to get there. Going to keep doing what we do. PlayFest is not ending. Always trying to change, make it better, do other things, but this stuff's not going away. Tonight is what it is. I knew there wouldn't be a ton of guys on with college football and major college football bowl games on. But for you that are here, thank you so much for what you do. Happy New Year. I hope your holidays went great. I hope Christmas went great. I hope New Year's goes well for you. If you're in the golf world like I am, check out some of the stuff we're doing on YouTube Shorts now. I'm rolling greens, giving videos all the time about green speeds and everything else. But football's not going anywhere. PlayFest not going anywhere. Thank you for everything you guys do for me. Happy New Year. Have a blessed, peaceful, safe time. And I will see you guys in 2024, which I'm hoping will be the year of Play Fast football. You won't play well till you play fast. Love all you guys. Thank you for everything you do. Sorry tonight wasn't the greatest live of all time, but it's to be expected with a big time college football game. And I will see you guys next time.